At the end of the last video, I suggested that you might be asking yourself a question about public domain materials. If you're like most people, it's this one. They're all out of date, aren't they? Well, this is not necessarily a bad thing. As I suggested in a previous video, it's a fact that a lot of public domain content is old. As many of the works in the public domain were initially published before 1923, it naturally follows that this is aged content. In some ways, however, this is an advantage. To begin with, it often means that a lot of this content is ignored and forgotten. This means that you can use these materials to create your own unique product without having to do too much work. And secondly, whilst this style of writing might be outdated, there are some markets where the message of the old content has hardly changed at all. What was true back in the day is just as true now. A good example is the self-help niche. The message carried by a lot of older works is still 100% relevant today because no matter what's happening in the world, everybody wants to better themselves, right? Seminal self-help works such as a Man Thinketh by James Allen are still incredibly popular and yet are freely available in the public domain. As you can see, this particular book was published in 1902. Another example that you'll find is still popular is this one here, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, and it was published in 1910. Now, both of these books are sold in bookshops and they're also sold online, and yet you can download them both for free if you know where to do so. You could therefore make money with either of them as long as you position what you're doing correctly. To begin with, we've already highlighted that many of these older materials can be modernized by rewriting the text to create a unique work that still carries the same message. Think of how many modernized versions there are of the Bible as a perfect example of this concept. And as I also suggested previously, you might want to add extra content to any work that you want to use to differentiate it from the pack. Another alternative is to reposition these classics by recording them as videos or audio materials. Once again, if you look for an audio version of the Bible, you'll see that this has already been done many times, and while some are free, not all are. Of course, the content of the materials that you use when you're trying to make money with public domain works is important. Equally important, if not more so, however, is the way that you market your product. Yes, many public domain works are old, but you can turn this to your advantage rather than viewing it as a downside. These are not old books as far as your marketing efforts are concerned. Instead, they're secret classics, masterpieces that have been lost and forgotten. They contain secret ideas and techniques that have been buried for generations which have recently been discovered. Content that was lost to the modern world until now. You need to stress that while these materials may not be brand new, they are truly timeless classics that have lain undiscovered for many decades. Bring an element of exclusivity and rarity to any public domain content you use by emphasizing that this content is not available anywhere else and that the ideas these materials portray are bang up to date. This is where a degree of rewriting often helps with your efforts to make money from public domain content. Either by adding additional content to the material that you're using or by rewriting it completely, you make changes that make your version of the book unique, even if it's been published by many others elsewhere. To cite an example highlighted previously, you'd not be the first person to publish The Science of Getting Rich if you were to do so. But you could make it a very different book either by updating the main body of the text or by adding your own preface and conclusion. You would then have a derivative but improved version of the original work that you could certainly make money with. Your tagline is that you've taken a well-known classic that contains some of the best self-help ideas and thoughts known to mankind and brought it into the 21st century. Unlike all the other versions out there, this one is upgraded and improved with new ideas and concepts added. Okay, in the next video we really get to the heart of the matter and show how you can start to make money with public domain content.